All right, we are on the air, 97.7 FM, WVFF, Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth in Broadcasting Corporation. This is Swamp Justice Radio by Cask and Elaine Greenwood from Super Woke News. And we want to thank everybody because we have been getting, Elaine, a lot of great feedback from all over the board, from people all over the place, that they're glad that they found us. They want more content.
I love that. You have an audience, and when I was on YouTube, had an audience. I love those people. They're the best. So yeah. And you know what's nice? To a person, we care about the truth. I never met somebody in my audience that said, I have an agenda and it has to be this and it has to be that. And I want to hurt somebody. We didn't dox anybody. Never once. Not at all. But yeah, we're fascinated by different stories, different narratives. And we just want to know the truth. And we notice when things don't make sense. So you got a kind of a story that was sort of a big story last summer. And you're kind of blowing it up again, as I understand it. Something in Lancaster County. So you want to tell us a bit about that?
Oh boy. Yeah. So there's Lancaster County is a county in the northern part of South Carolina. And there was a guy, there was a death. There was a death of a woman who apparently came out of the house that she was in around 65 pounds, but she died of malnutrition and a lot of other things. I'm trying to find her. Hold on. Whoop. Wow. And it was a Birchfield family. So the Birchfield family, could be any other family, but the father, his name is Donnie Sr. He is a pastor of a Baptist church called Friendship Baptist Church. And he and his wife live there with their 3 children. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit because I just was talking to a lady just before we jumped on here. She didn't even know one of the children. And she had been friends with Wynette, the wife, since they were kids, and found her on Facebook and didn't even know that she had a son named Grady. So they had 3 kids. So Donnie Sr. was married prior. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he was married to a woman by the name of Monica Birchfield. After she got married, she died at the age of 27 in Gaston County, North Carolina. And after that, about 4 months after she died, he married a woman called Wynette and Birchfield. But Monica and Donnie Sr. had a son called Donnie Ray Birchfield Jr. And then Wynette and Donnie Sr. had 2 children, Grady Birchfield and Gracie Birchfield. Now, the weird part about all this is that a lot of people didn't even know Grady existed. And in fact, I couldn't even find Grady after he graduated high school. But through some connections with my private investigator that we use at Crime and Cask, they were able to get with police, and police are in contact with Grady. He has left the house when he was 18, and he's fully cooperating with them. And you're going to say fully cooperating with them on what? Well, Donnie Ray Birchfield, in September of this year, he is the pastor's son. He is accused of imprisoning, abusing multiple people in the basement of their home.
Wait. This is Monica and Don.
Monica's dead. She died in the year 2000, August of 2000. This is Wynette and Donnie Sr.'s house. And Donnie...
Now listen, is this Donnie that you're talking about, Donnie Jr., who is Monica's son by Donnie Sr.?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Because Wynette has 2 children, Grady and Gracie. I thought there was a Brian in the mix.
I'll get to Brian in a little bit, but Brian is not a...
Keep going. I'm with you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
in the basement of the house of the Birchfield home in Lancaster, he was arrested on multiple charges: exploiting vulnerable adults. He's also accused of strangling a girlfriend into unconsciousness, stealing money, and ultimately causing the death of one of the people that were in this basement. It's not a good look.
Did the mom and dad know he was doing this stuff?
Well, that's the $1 million question. So, they all lived in the same house together. I think it was a 3-bedroom house, maybe a 4-bedroom house upstairs. There's 2 bedrooms downstairs in the basement. But what I can say is I interviewed the 2 cousins of Donnie Sr., Donnie Jr.'s aunts, and they were well aware of it. They said family knew about it. Their stepfather was over at the house and went down to the basement, saw these people down there. Now, they didn't know the extent of the crimes that are being alleged, but they knew of those people in the basement. In fact, the weird one was there was one girl who started living there at the age of 14. Now, that was almost 10 years ago. I mean, somebody lives in your basement for 10 years, I think you're going to know, right? She could come and go, as I understand, as she pleased, but she went there at the age of 14. Now, that Donnie Ray Birchfield Jr. would have been 25 at the time.
Oops.
And that's weird.
Well, it just doesn't. It sets up things that we hope don't.
And there's another girl who got arrested as well. And she was 17 when she moved in.
Jim, wait a minute. I saw a picture of a white clapboard house that looks like it's only about 3,000 square feet. Kind of a simple little structure. Is this the house?
That's the house.
Holy cow.
That's the house.
And so there was a woman in the basement that weighed, by the time they found out about this, she was dead, but she weighed 65 pounds.
65 pounds.
Wow. Wow. Unless she was 3 feet tall, that's pretty emaciated.
It was extremely emaciated. It wasn't a good scene.
Okay, and this was in the news because I actually missed this story last summer because I was busy with other things. This sounds horrific. Okay, so keep going. So now wait, so who's in jail right now? Is somebody in jail? Is Donnie Jr. in jail?
Donnie Jr. is in jail. Yes, they just had a meeting in South Carolina with the magistrate to see where this thing was going to go, and she referred it to court that there was enough evidence that, in her opinion, to move forward with the trial. It's not good. It's not good at all.
What do you? One thing I noticed is people love you and they reach out to you, witnesses and people that have firsthand information. So, right. Have you talked to some people around this crime or around this trial that maybe law enforcement hasn't talked to, or that the public doesn't really know about? I mean, is there new information coming out about the complexity of what's going on?
I have had, for Lancaster County, have had an enormous amount of people reach out to me. As I said, it had a person this morning, but it is a constant flow right now of information. And between my PI Boone's investigation and myself, we are sifting through all this information, and they're handling anything that appears to be credible over to law enforcement. Yeah.
Does this weigh on you? It seems like you don't usually cover stories like this in depth unless there's meat on the bone, basically. But I'm getting from you that this is kind of something this not good.
Well, these are vulnerable adults, and he's charged with murder. He's charged with multiple counts of abuse, exploitation, and false imprisonment. it's, let me show you a picture of the guy. I've tried to find this. The woman's name who passed away, her name was Shirley Arnsdorf. She died attributed to asphyxia due to strangulation and severe malnutrition as a contributing factor to her death of 65 pounds. Her husband, also a vulnerable adult, his name was Alvin Arnsdorf. Let me get a picture of this. Hold on. I'm going to share the screen. For those at home that can see this, fantastic. For those you can't, there. Now you may have a little struggle to see this, but this is Alvin Arnsdorf, and he's I'm not sure how to classify this. Special needs, maybe. Sure. And apparently he had to go to the hospital after the police came. He was in not good health as well. Apparently he's with family now. I believe his sister knows where he is. He's either at a home or with friends. And he is healing, not only physically healing, but mentally healing from this.
Wow. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, and the weird obsession that we've started to look into is wrestling. Like wrestling. You see on TV. Donnie Sr.'s way into wrestling. Donnie Jr. is really into wrestling. And this Alan Arnsdorf was also into wrestling. And Alvin went to Friendship Baptist Church. But I was also told that not only did Donnie Sr. know about it, the only way he said he was going to allow Alvin and Shirley to live in his basement, according to multiple people, is if they were married, which is weird because there was a 14-year-old girl and a 17-year-old girl living in the basement with Donnie Jr. He didn't get married. But anyway, these two supposedly had to get married, and he married him. It's even more weird. So, yeah. And I even spoke to a former next door neighbor. He said that he knew them since 2013 when he had moved in. He didn't even know they had a child named Grady, which is absurd to even think about. He's like, I knew about Donnie Jr. He goes, but the only reason I ever saw Donnie Jr. was when my wife would go out into the hot tub into our backyard, and Donnie Jr. would all of a sudden just appear.
So they're not living on acreage isolated. They're living with neighbors close by on maybe an average sized lot.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I have a picture of the house here. I'm kind of scrolling.
That's okay. I think I saw an aerial view of it right there. That's
kind of, yeah, it's a kind of a off center picture with the garage, but you can see what it is. And it's one of these houses that, goes down the slope. So it has a basement to it.
Yeah.
But it's just a basic, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a 2-car garage.
I think the next picture, scroll up. The next one is there. Is that, can you zoom in? Wait, you went past it right there. Is that the house? And
no, that's just a
an ad.
No, a map.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. I thought we were looking at where the house
Here's
is.
Here's a picture of Donnie Jr. with a professional wrestler.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
It's crazy. And this was Alvin with him when he had a wrestling belt on. Here's the family. This is Donnie Sr., his wife, Juanette, Donnie Jr. on the right-hand side, and then Gracie and Grady. This is an old picture from 2013. This is when they first moved into the house.
But they look really kind of wholesome, right?
Yeah, looks like a normal American family. And here's a picture of Grady as a senior in 2020.
Well, does Grady live in the area? Does he live in Lancaster County, or does he live outside the area?
Grady disappeared like a ghost after 2020. He left the house. According to a lot of people who have reached out to me, apparently he allegedly was beaten as a child because he liked Star Wars, and video games. And of course, they were saying that this was the devil's work, and so he was beaten and bullied allegedly by his parents and
Oh my gosh.
his brother. But he's since left the house. So it's just all around. This is just absolutely nuts of a case. And when I talked to the neighbor, he's like, "You'd have never known." He's like, "Perfect family." The woman I was talking to on Messenger, she reached out. Apparently, Wynette then started calling her evil, and it's just they use God a lot as a weapon, according to many sources, which
wow,
wouldn't be the first time people use God as a weapon. But more wars in this world as our existence. More people have died in the name of God than any other reason. Here's one person, Berfilia Elise Tovar. She got arrested as well in this. I don't even know what to call this. Let's just call it a case. She's 18 or 19. She moved in there when she was 17 as a teenager, and she was arrested for
eating all the groceries in the house.
Yeah, she's not starved, but basically not reporting what she had seen.
Good. I mean, good. I really mean good. When you see if you see this and don't report it, I don't imagine there's a huge consequence to that. But if you can't figure out to do it because it's the humane thing to do, maybe you do it because you don't want to get arrested for not doing it. Just a thought. Oh, Jim.
Yeah, I listened to some of the stories, and that unverified at this point, but there was all kinds of abuse, and let your imagination go with that one.
Which reminds me, you guys, we need to contact John Thune and get that end the filibuster, and so we get the SAVE Act passed so that our vote counts. But Jim, what is your takeaway from this? That this is just this is just an individualized evil, kind of, or
no, this is a family thing that goes back a couple of generations, according to the aunts and the cousins that I spoke with. We did a YouTube video. I'll try to link it in this, but the abuse not only goes with Donnie Jr., goes up to Donnie Sr., and goes up to his father, and maybe even his father. They're talking to me from the mountains of North Carolina, near Western North Carolina. And they were talking about, they were moonshiners back in the day, and they have kin that is in prison or was in prison for murder and all kinds of things. This is a generational thing. And each time you start to peel back that onion, it just gets worse and worse.
Kids like Grady and Gracie, they're not involved in this, are they?
Well, that's what I think. Grady left the house, just like, I'm out of here. Gracie still lives at the house. She's actually the only child that I know of the three that has a driver's license. Yeah.
Are these
weird?
Are all
Donnie Jr. is 35 years old, does not have a driver's license.
Donnie Jr. doesn't have a driver's license at 35?
Nope. Apparently, they stuffed him in the basement and said, "Don't come up." According to many sources, by the way. Everything, let me just put this out there.
Yeah.
All this stuff is from numerous reports from numerous people. And when you see, and in journalism, because a lot of people don't know how this works, is when you hear one story like, okay, and it's just kind of a lone story sitting out there. Right. And if that's the only lone story you hear, then you kind of go look at the credibility, you kind of do some backup and try to dig to see. But when you start hearing one story and then another one fits on top of it, and another one, and another one, and another one, before you know it, you have 6 to 8 people telling you the exact same thing or very close variations of it. You can pretty much be assured that what they're telling you is fairly accurate.
Do you think more people are going to be indicted?
100%.
Oh my gosh.
100%.
Beyond this family and that house?
That I'm unsure of. I will say possibly, but within the family, there's the one girl who was 14 who lived there when she was 14, and now she's, I guess, 24. Apparently she was hiding in the house somewhere when the police came. She didn't get arrested, but I believe that she will, and certainly Donnie Sr. and Wynette. They lived in his house, and we'll see what Gracie's extent is of all this as well. I mean,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wow. So you ask me, it's just, it goes in so many directions. I just did a story when you were talking about Brian.
Yeah.
So I just did a story the other day. It's another one that it talks about this family again. So you have Wynette is the niece of a guy by the name of Frank Evans. And Frank Evans, he was a long time Lancaster native. He's passed away. His wife has passed away. He was Wynette's uncle. He passed away in 2023. Natural causes at 87 years old. But he had owned very famous, honestly, I can't think of it at the top of my head, very famous restaurant in the area. And so, he was very well known, very beloved. And he had a son by the name of Brian Evans. And he also had, as I understand it, as I say this, I could be wrong, but this is what I'm going with because I've heard this now 2 times. He had another son that they adopted that he named Frank as well. So there's a junior. However, Brian is the blood heir of Dorothy and Frank Evans. And those two were the aunt and uncle of Wynette Birchfield. Okay.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dorothy dies natural causes in 2019. The weird part about it is in her obituary, they named 2 sons, Franklin Dale Evans Jr. and Brian Franklin Evans. But when Frank dies, they only name the one, Brian Evans. I don't know. I guess it depends on who wrote the obituary, but so he's the heir. And what I was able to do was get a copy of the will. I got a copy of the will from Brian's POA, his power of attorney, because Brian is currently residing with the South Carolina Department of Corrections, and
What did he do?
Murder.
Oops. But he did not his parents.
No. I believe it was a wife or ex-wife. Yeah, he's due back in, I think, 20 years. He'll be about 80, 81. Anyway.
Wait a minute, just a second, because I got to go back to this. Brian's dad, Frank Evans, and his wife, Dorothy, how are they related again to Wynette?
That's her uncle.
Oh, it's her uncle. Okay. Oh, so she does have a blood relationship because the will's place. Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So, but Wynette became the durable power of attorney.
Oops.
In September of 2022, August of 2022, excuse me. And I have that durable power of attorney at crimeandcast.com. You can go check it out. Just type in Birchfield, and it'll come up. Basically to make, receive, endorse checks, deposits, withdraw funds, acquire, redeem certificates of deposit, the whole 9 yards, checking, savings, retirements, anything. That is, if you're going to do that, you better trust somebody. And then he was going to a different church, and I guess he switched and went to Friendship Baptist Church, and this is where this came along. So while Frank was alive, she could open, close, withdraw bank accounts, endorse checks, pay bills, sell mortgage property, all these things. But there's a fiduciary responsibility that comes along with that. And,
Right.
and they can't spend money like, hey, I want a new TV. I'll buy a new TV. I mean, if you're buying a new TV for Frank, yes, you can buy a new TV. It has to benefit the person that you're representing. You can't enrich yourself or divert funds for unrelated purposes and this type of thing. That would be what's called a breach of fiduciary duty, conversion, or financial exploitation of an adult. And I'm not saying any of this happened, but here's what's strange. And so I talked to the POA of Brian Evans, and he died in 2023. And then when the POA changed when he passed, and now she's the personal representative, I believe, manages the estate.
When Frank died, he had two heirs. He had
one heir in the will.
Oh, just Brian?
Just Brian. Yeah. He had some money, like $1,000 went to $1,000 went to Donnie Sr., like 500 went to another person. Anyway.
What about the adopted kid Frank? Did he get anything?
He's not in the will.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's not in the will. Although I understand that he calls from time to time and they'll send him money. But so both of them have to call the Birchfields, as I understand it, to get money. But here's the weird thing. So Brian's in prison, but that does not discount him from being the heir of his father's estate in the state of South Carolina. He's still entitled to that. And according to the will, there was supposed to be a trust made for him, and then assets. The home he had a home. The home sold, which we're going to get into that because that was weird. The home sold. There was a truck. All the home furnishings, bank accounts, retirements, these type of things, all converted and then put into this trust for Brian. As I understand it, to this day, this is January 5th, 2026, it has not been done.
And he died in 23. Frank died in 23.
23. But so the weird thing, I got a great picture of the house. Let me just switch over here for people who can see the house. Share screen.
A lot of evil there, Frank, Jim.
Yeah. Here's a picture. Here's a good front picture of the house. You can see it just looks like a regular, normal house. But anyways, back to Frank's house. So look at this. I don't know if you can see this chart, but in this particular chart, this is a chart from Zillow. It shows the current estimated value of it at $260,000. But here's the weird part. It starts out somewhere in 2018, under 200,000. It slowly goes up. There's 225 in 2019. It jumps up in 2022 to 300,000. It dips, but it jumps up in 2024 to just under 400,000, about 350, 360,000. All right, so here's the house, Frank's house, and Zillow is not the end all be all of valuing houses, but they get pretty close. Yeah. And in 2024, the house was valued at $384,000. But here's what I don't understand is that it was sold in the end of 2024, not for $350,000 or close to it, for $226,000.
226?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this graph, but it drops dramatically, the value.
That's kind of odd.
It's real odd because it goes back to a value close to about 2019.
Wow.
Which is weird. Yeah. And then the property taxes continue to be paid in his name, likely by the estate. The vehicle taxes, there's a Chevy truck that was titled to Evans. That's still being paid. And the truck's allegedly parked over at the Birchfield home. I don't understand that. There's a copy of the taxes that were paid on that.
What year's the truck?
What's it say here? It's an older vehicle, 1984. So the S, probably like an S10, something like that.
Actually, could be a nice vehicle. Okay, so that's kind of odd. Now,
$150,000 below the late 2024 estimate, and the deed was signed by Wynette Birchfield. Yeah.
Who bought the house at that low price?
Right. So I'm going to look into that. I won't go into his name right now because he may just be an innocent guy who got a good deal in a house. But I'm going to look in on that and make sure he's not a member of the church, because that will be even more weird. So we have Brian is the son. Okay, he's the heir according to the will. The will that I saw, he's the heir. But
wait a minute. Was there anything owed on the house?
That I don't know, but according to Zillow, there was. It wasn't.
Was it 200,000? I mean, was it a lot or a little or what?
No, it wasn't a lot.
Okay. That's an odd amount of money, unless the whole neighborhood just crashed in value.
No, because I looked at other homes that were like the neighbors behind them.
Yeah.
Those had all been valued at the 350 range too. So that was weird. I bet the neighbors are mad at them because
it ruins your property value when somebody sells for that. Yeah, right. Jim, say it. You need to look into who purchased it. Who coordinated, who approved the sale? Did Brian approve the sale from jail?
No. Wynette did.
Wow.
And those proceeds of that were supposed to go into the trust, according to the will.
Right.
The will is very specific. So you've got an incarcerated heir. And most people will go, well, he doesn't get anything. Well, that's not the law, as it goes into South Carolina anyway. Brian Evans is currently incarcerated on a murder conviction. He's serving two consecutive 30-year terms in the South Carolina Department of Corrections. He is eligible, projected release date at 2041. What is that? 25, 35, 15, 16 years?
16 years. 15 years, yeah. Yeah.
And he's 61 now, so he'll be 75, 76. So, when he gets out, it would be a nice little thing for him to have. But apparently they just send him money and put it on his canteen as he calls and requests it. I don't know. He has a personal power of attorney that should be taking care of this, not Wynette, but apparently Wynette's still handling this thing. We talked about the discounted sale.
Did she get paid? Is she paid to handle this?
It's not. There's not a number. But there usually is a small compensation, time and whatnot. Yeah. But it's not like you're making, being an executor, making, 6 figures.
Okay.
And then here's even more, it gets even more weird, is that the church and the family overlap. So you got Frank Evans' funeral was officiated by Donnie Birchfield Sr. at the Friendship Baptist Church. And of course, Donnie is married to Wynette, and Donnie and Wynette were the power of attorney, and it just gets intertwined. And I just don't quite understand it. Again, there's no allegations being made here, but there is the church asked for gifts for Frank Evans to be sent to the church. Yeah, it's just weird.
If Brian is incarcerated, maybe he can't receive gifts. Isn't there a limit on what you can put on your canteen card? I mean, it's not like you can buy a TV for the sale or something like that. I mean, he's
right. Yeah, it's just for food from the commissary or videos or
the Slim Jim sticks that Remember, Alec Murdaugh was buying those so he could gamble with them or something like that. Well,
always, Alec Murdaugh always makes an appearance in our podcast.
Well, why not? We love the guy. You need to get back on the porch with your glass of bourbon. And by the way, this is vodka. I admit it. No, it's water. It's distilled water. Anyway.
Let's just finish this up because we want to get into the 392 case, but there's some unanswered questions on the Birchfields here in this document. We're not alleging anything wrongdoing at this point, but they controlled the estate, or at least Wynette Birchfield did, and the home was sold well below estimated market value. Taxes were paid even after Evan's death. The vehicle remains in the possession of the Birchfields, but even the taxes were paid out in 2025. And right now, there's no public accounting that's been produced.
At all?
No. So there's questions, who ultimately received the proceeds of the estate? Were they distributions? Were they court approved? Why the home was marketed, not marketed at near market value. But probate law is so crazy.
It is.
In any state you're in, but
yeah,
they do protect the heirs. I do know that. And even if you're incarcerated, you still have rights.
But Jim, I hate to ask this, but have Donnie Sr. and his wife been involved in things like this before? Would they have durable power of attorney over? I mean,
that's a good question that I don't know the answer to. It's possible, but I don't know. I can't say definitively yes or no. But that's just it's just a weird situation, and you've got all these charges. Donnie Jr. You can get them all mixed up, and you've got all the allegations from the aunts, Donnie Sr.'s cousins.
What are the aunts saying? Why didn't they know?
One of the aunts was sexually abused by him when between the ages of 6 and 10, according to her.
Was that law enforcement looked into that, didn't they? She not
did.
Just.
Yeah, no, law enforcement did look into it. You have Donnie Sr.'s wife died at the age of 27. I talked to numerous people that said that he was allegedly cheating on her with Wynette. And then I actually spoke to one of Monica's sisters, who I think it was a sister, that she said she was with her the night. I got to talk to her. She was with her the night she died, and that she felt that those two were arguing. She said that she found some pictures of Senior and Wynette, so things weren't going well that night. But she said she left her and she thought she was a healthy person, and then the next thing she knows, she dies of some sort of choking on a cough drop or something. I don't know.
Choking not related to being choked, but choking like.
I'm looking into it. Apparently it was a cough drop, or I don't know how you choke and die in a cough drop, but we're going to look into that. And that's very odd. And then of course, he got married 4 months after his wife died.
Oh no.
4 months, according to the aunts.
Well, this kind of, wow. I think there's more to this that you're probably withholding because you're cautious and don't want to say right now. But it's a very odd series of events, obviously. So you're going to be covering this going forward.
I am going to cover this going forward, and it's getting national attention. Dateline sniffing around looking for people to talk to. So you're going to see this nationally. I'm right now, Crime and Cask Investigations and Boone Investigations are the only one that are talking about this deep dive into the family and the family
connections
and financial things that have been going on with family. Everybody else is just posting about whatever's on the public index, which is boring. But
well, wait a minute. Like this public. Speaking of the public index, so on December 31st of 2025, the judge in the 392 case, our favorite case, yay,
And she's speaking of, we're switching gears. We're moving down to Hampton, South Carolina, where Renee Beach, the mother of Mallory Beach, who was in the boat wreck with Paul Murdoch, she has filed a lawsuit with her attorney, Mark Tinsley, called the 392 case. I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, so this has been going on. It's sort of loosely tied to the wrongful death case of Renee's daughter, Mallory. But this is a civil outrage case that was filed the second time on December 3rd of 2021. So this is, it's been for 4 years. It's a very interesting case. Might be a little hard for some people to follow, but I think it will end up being the unraveling of my dear buddy, Mark Tinsley. I think that what we're going to get out of this case is a better understanding of this relationship between Mark Tinsley and Fitz News and Fitz News reporters, or then Fitz News reporters, Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell. And it's interesting, people have a right to have any kind of private life they want, and you and I are not commenting on that. But if you're going to claim to be a journalist independently covering a story, there has to be some objectivity about it. And we know from the coverage that Fitz News had, especially articles related to Mandy and Liz, there was no objectivity at all. They were 100% biased with their, I think it's hatred of Parker, but they were so biased toward anybody in litigation on the opposite side of the table from Mark Tinsley. In fact, Fitz News might as well have been Mark Tinsley's PR firm or legal strategist. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to identify that. You have to disclose that to your audience. And so when you don't, I have a lot of questions about that. But anyway, so this confidentiality order on November 25th of 2025, Parker's had moved for a confidentiality order. They have some documents and they want to be able to assert privilege, or they want the right to protect them from being the source of Cup of Justice podcasts. They have seen how this enormous animosity from Mandy Matney, Liz Farrell, and Tinsley and Bland, frankly, has what it does is it generates a jury pool of people that just hate Mr. Parker. And that's not fair. I mean, I don't care whether you like the guy or hate the guy. It's too biased. So Parker said,
oh my God. There was a woman I saw on some post the other day. She's like, if I was about to die and the only food that was available was at Parker's, I wouldn't go in. What? How stupid. This is how crazy this has become.
Yeah, that's like people protesting in support of Maduro. And they're holding the Venezuelan flag. And this saying, you don't even know what you're talking about. You couldn't find Venezuela on a map. And why are you holding the flag of my country? Yeah, stupid people do stupid things. I get that. But we're allowed to be stupid. I'm not even going to argue about that. They have a right to be as biased as they want. But I do object to them pretending to be one thing, to pretending to be journalists and be objective when they're so clearly not. But anyway, so they proposed this confidentiality order, and then on December 3rd, that was on November 25th of 2025, and then a few days later on December 3rd, Tinsley files a 28-page response, and he's got, he can be a kind of a, how can I put this nicely? He can be a nasty little son of a gun. He's tenacious. I'll give him this. He's very, very tenacious, but he's so acerbic. He's so angry and so caustic. It's hard to like the guy, I have to say. But anyway, so he filed his response. And so on December 31st, the judge said, yeah, here's confidentiality order. I think it's fine. I don't have any objection to it. Do you? It doesn't bind what you and I talk about in any way. I mean, we're not bound by that. We're not part of that.
Yeah, let me give it to you in plain language because Elaine can't. No, I'm just kidding. The Beach civil case order binds attorneys, not journalists. So in plain language, Judge Kelly, who I wouldn't say is a friend of mine, but he was very complimentary of me, Judge Kelly. He's a good guy. The order that he signed binds only attorneys of record, their law firms, and their respective clients. It does not apply to journalists, podcasters, or third parties who were never recipients of confidential discovery materials, nor does it restrict reporting on public filings, open court proceedings, or independently obtained information. So it's not like a gag order.
Nobody said that, Jim. But the thing is that I think that Parker's definitely has asserted privilege or confidentiality over some documents that were originally supplied to Mr. Tinsley by Sandy Sen, who was representing Wesley Donahue. And this was in early 2022. And they fought for about 18 months about Parker's claiming those are privileged. And thousands of the documents had to be returned to Parker. And I don't know if you can still hear me because our screen kind of.
I got you.
Okay. So anyway, so what I think is important here is that I think Parker's does not want Tinsley to disseminate to Mandy and Liz for their Cup of Justice audience documents that should never have been in Tinsley's possession to start with, that have to do with the private business of Parker's or Parker's communications with his own attorneys or his own people hired by his attorneys in the course of representing him, whether in the 111 case or this 392 case. So I think it's sort of it certainly seems like it's what Parker's wanted. So I guess it's sort of a win for them, but I don't see it as a huge crushing defeat for Mandy and Liz. It gives Parker the right to assert confidentiality, which they're happy to do. They already have. I mean, they actually prepared a privilege log and they've already prepared certain things. But Liz Farrell's deposition, the window for her to have asserted privilege on her deposition is closed. It was 7 days after her deposition. It was either at the deposition or 7 days after up to 7 days after her deposition was taken, if they were going to assert that it was confidential or there was some confidentiality associated with it. So we can still, I mean, we always could still talk about it, but that's, it doesn't really materially change what's already in the record or what we already know about.
Right. And so let's talk about those text messages, those thousands of text messages. As a key factual point, absent from the public discussion is now those thousands of text messages and digital communications that were never entered into discovery, because there's a lot. And that fact is documented in a subpoena issued in November of 25 to Callie Lyons, a former reporter for Fitz News and a former reporter for Luna Shark. But she's a non-party witness, compelling production of communications involving online personalities, Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell, and their partner, attorney Eric Bland, who, by the way, is subject to an ongoing investigation by the South Carolina Supreme Court's Office of Disciplinary Counsel concerning alleged ethical violations. That subpoena that Callie got seeks communications only dating back between February 2019 across multiple platforms, text messages, etc., concerning Parker's Kitchen, the Beach litigation, plaintiff's counsel Mark Tinsley, and mock trials and focus groups.
Now, Jim, wait. February 19th, in case the audience doesn't know, is when there was the boat accident where Mallory Beach, who wasn't wearing a life jacket and was very drunk, fell overboard and couldn't swim to save her own life and drowned. So that's why that's that time frame of the night she died, the night she drowned, to the present. But it doesn't. By the way, I looked at it.
By the way, those, but just make sure those communications that were not already submitted and not produced in discovery are not subject to Judge Kelly's confidentiality order. And if Mandy thinks for 1 second that there aren't thousands of them out there that aren't in discovery, that have nothing to do with this, whatever was submitted, let's put it that way, they remain outside the scope unless they were formally produced, designated, and sustained as confidential by the court, which at this point, as I understand it, have not. So there are a lot. And, they made some accusation in some court document, which was complete BS, that said that I had them and I was threatening to release all these things. If I had them, I would have already released them. Rest assured. But I haven't, I don't. And, but I know they exist, and I've seen some. And you're screwed. That's all I can tell you. You're screwed, and so are many other people. Holy moly!
But Jim, you're caught up in their narrative, and we give them way too much credit. These people are dumb. They really are dumb. I would say this: what I know of those texts, they painted a very different picture than what the public thinks is true of Mandy, Liz, Will, and the dynamics of Fitz News. And of all the people,
it's like Mandy and Liz are different people. You know what they put their persona online, and what there was in those text messages, it's like it's night and day. It's two different people.
I agree. Okay, but here's my point here, because I did a little bit of looking at who the heck is Callie Lyons. She wrote an incredible book published in 2007. What's it called again? I think it's Non-Stick Waterproof.
Yeah, it was about that Teflon in pans.
Landmark book, and I really want to get
DuPont.
that right. It's Non-Stick Waterproof, Stain Resistant, something like that, and Lethal. It's a seminal book about forever chemicals. It was highly regarded. It's been the source for several documentaries, and it's also been the basis for litigation. It is the source cited. So Callie,
yeah, she's a great writer, no doubt about it.
A great investigator. There's no book. I'm sorry, but Liz, Mandy, Will Folks, the whole gang combined have not produced a publication that is as important as that one book that Callie wrote. So seems to me that if I were a bunch of goofballs who got caught up in monetizing this narrative that I think they pretty much created.
Monetizing a narrative. That's perfect.
The last person I would want to have access to what we were really doing would be somebody like Callie Lyons, who knows how to write and knows how to investigate whatever you want to call what was going on. So I look forward to hearing more from Callie Lyons in the future. I don't know what.
Yeah, I think we will.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be really nice. But, they brought me into this in their motion, which I thought was hilarious. By the way, they spoke.
You must be talking about Mandy's motion in opposition to being deposed.
I have never received confidential defense discovery, never signed anything acknowledging, binding to it. And I, in this media company, has always consistently relied upon independent sourcing, public records, and non-party communications. All lawful activities protected under long-standing First Amendment precedent. Let's just put that out there. So any allegations set forth by Miss Mandy Matney are false, unsupported by evidence, and materially misleading as it concerns to anything in her motion about crime and cask, an online personality. I'm an online personality. Hey, everybody. Hey, it's your online personality coming to you live. You like that? Online personality. Oh, damn it. We lost her again. So we'll just follow. Let me see. Did she pop back on? No. Must be her internet connection. Love live news, but I'll just finish this up and saying Crime and Cask is not believed to be collaborating with any defendant in this case. That claim is speculative, unsupported by any single affidavit, document, evidentiary showing, and no court has made such a finding. Never received leaked discovery information. The suggestion that commentary referencing public branding, stay pesky, sunlight, or any cultural imagery constitutes evidence of discovery misuse is legally irrelevant. Public commentary, parody, criticism, and opinion, even sharp or caustic, are not evidence of harassment, do not establish misuse of discovery. Unless, of course, you're an attorney and you go out and you defame people publicly online with no disregard to any ethics that you have agreed to under oath, then that's a different story. But I'll just say this. There are thousands of text messages out there that haven't been put in discovery. You better not lie during your deposition. I guess your deposition won't be online anymore, but, is what it is. Let's remove her. Let's remove this. And we'll talk about more about the Birchfield case. We'll talk about more about the 392 case coming up. There is a lot to talk about. Justice Radio on WVFF 97.7 FM, Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth and Broadcasting Corporation. We'll send you out with the. Love this song. By the way, make sure if you listen to 97.7 FM, you call the radio station and let them know you want to hear this. We just had a Christmas song, which had really good reviews, but we have the Swamp Justice. Where truth and legend mixes, boggy trails and hidden creeks, where secrets hide and lie. Local folks gather around the radio for tales that never die. There we go. Swamp Justice Radio. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for joining in. Sorry about the problems we were having with technical difficulties, but we're all good. Crime and Cask. See you.